Hey y'all, it's DYPICKLEBALL, bringing you a review of a new Alibaba paddle from DG Yiheng. This paddle is an upgraded version of their Joola Pro 4 clone. That $30 clone was preferred over the original Joola Pro 4 by both of my playtesters in my previous review video. So you're telling me there's an even better paddle that's also $30? Well, let's find out. I'm going to be calling this the upgraded core and surface paddle, the Yiheng 4. Yiheng decided to invest in developing a paddle that isn't simply constrained to the performance of an existing paddle, but trying to do even better. The new version still uses their original Pro 4 clone as a base, but adds more foam in the throat and edges, and most importantly, a much rougher surface for spin. I wasn't able to get x-rays of this new paddle in time for this video, but let me know if that would be of interest to you in the comments. I'll link my affiliate links in the description below, as well as links to Yiheng stores. They're constantly innovating on new clone paddles, and I can't keep up. I did receive these demo paddles for free from Yiheng, and as always, if you choose to purchase products with my links, they may generate commissions to help support this channel. Quick note before I move on, the demo versions I received had USAP approved logos on them. I asked Yiheng about this, and it's actually a design error that they should have corrected by the time I've posted this video, but you may still receive some from their original batch. Yiheng is actually considering submitting their own branded paddles for USAP approval in the future, and this was a prototype design. But to clarify, the Yiheng 4 is not USAP approved for tournaments at this time. I would love to see Yiheng use the term USAP compliant in the meantime for paddles that, to the best of their knowledge, meet the USAP guidelines for paddles, but haven't actually gone through the certification process. Here I also have the Yiheng branded version of their first Pro 4 clone, which they've named the Cassiopeia. It has the exact same construction as their first clone, which I reviewed last time. I'll be using this paddle as a reference point for myself and my friends helping me playtest the Yiheng 4. In my previous review, I noted that the Alibaba clone had noticeably less grit than the Joola Pro 4 when I rubbed the surface. This was also noted by one of my playtesters in the blind playtest, saying it felt like the ball was less sticky on contact with the clone. I checked the grit levels again just by feeling the Cassiopeia. Again, the Cassiopeia had noticeably less grit than the non-Alibaba paddle. Here I am comparing it to a brand new J2NF. Now let's compare the grit to the Yiheng 4. It's clear there's more grit, and it's comparable to a non-Alibaba paddle. Yiheng also let me know that the foam levels had been slightly increased in the Yiheng 4, so I figured a sound test was in order, as adding extra foam changes how the core flexes and sounds. You can hear a clear difference in the deepness of the sounds when hitting with the Yiheng 4 versus the Cassiopeia. I also double-checked the weights and found that the Yiheng 4 was about 1/10 of an ounce heavier than the Cassiopeia, probably attributed to the increased foam in the paddle. Alright, with the initial exam out of the way, let's move on to the actual playtesting. I got in a few drill sessions with the Yiheng 4, and I immediately noticed the increased spin on the paddle from the increased grit. The added spin also gave me extra confidence on aggressive shots. Topspin drives and rolls felt easier to execute, and I could play looser knowing the paddle would help keep the ball dipping in. What was less obvious but still noticeable was the increased trampoline effect from the increased foam. On returns and third shot drives, I didn't need to swing hard to get depth. The paddle's flex basically launched the ball deep with very little effort. Look at this point right here. I have to return a pretty big serve, and my poor footwork forces me to basically just arm the ball. Despite that, the return comes back pretty fast and deep with good spin. My partner even asked how I managed to hit such a heavy ball with such a short swing.
How hard do you think your swing?
Not very hard. Maybe 50? The paddle's pretty long.
Yeah.
One thing that felt difficult though was controlling the ball on dinks and resets. The ball really flies off the paddle more with the Yiheng 4 due to the trampoline effect. However, due to how well the paddle counters with that same effect, I was able to dig myself out of several points where I popped up the ball just by sticking out my paddle and letting it do the work during the firefight. Just like last time, I'm bringing on two fellow playtesters to also give their opinions between the Cassiopeia and Yiheng 4. Obviously, I can't truly do a blind playtest this time since the graphics are different, but my two playtesters have no idea what the differences are between the two paddles, so it's as good as blind. Let's see if they will spot the same differences as I did. Alright everyone, so here I have the Yiheng Cassiopeia, and this is the Yiheng 4. And then I have Abi, who was there on my last video. And then my brother Sam here is joining us as well. They're both 4 or 5 level players. They're gonna help me test these paddles. Same as last time, they'll each try one, play a few games, then switch and see which one they like. So basically, I actually don't even know that much about them. So basically they're different variations on the Joola Pro 4. Okay. But I don't know much more than that. So you guys let me know which one you like, if you can tell if there's a big difference, and yeah, let's go play and have some fun. Thanks guys.
Let's do it.
Overall, both paddles had quite a bit of pop and power, more so than their usual paddles, and they both noticed it pretty quickly. They both also noticed the increased grit and spin fairly quickly as well. Sam was able to speed up pretty low balls with the Yiheng 4, but struggled a bit with that and his serves with the Cassiopeia. Additionally, you can see Abi here missing a speed up off the bounce with the Cassiopeia, but then making a really nice one with the Yiheng 4 a game later. Spin is the biggest factor when speeding up low balls, so the Yiheng 4 was able to clearly shine in those scenarios. It also seemed like the Cassiopeia was easier to control with the resets and dinks, while the Yiheng 4 deflected the ball much higher. You can see Sam popping up several dinks in the first game as he got used to the Yiheng 4, but was able to eventually dial it in. This next point shows the contrast in pop quite clearly. Abi now has the Yiheng 4 and pops up the ball in a firefight despite just sticking out his paddle and barely swinging. The next few resets, he also barely moves his arms, but the ball flies off the paddle with the strong trampoline effect. Eventually, Sam with the Cassiopeia is able to reset the ball back in, and eventually Abi is able to put away the ball easily with the Yiheng 4. I'll also replay the point here without commentary so you can hear the difference in the sounds between the Yiheng 4 and the rest of the paddles, including the Cassiopeia. Quick reminder to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you found this content helpful. Now let's hear it from them directly. So we ended up playing a lot of pickleball. We're all really sweaty, but you guys got games with these paddles. So I'll start with Abi. Why don't you go with which one you preferred, why, and if you felt like there were any differences between the two?
Yeah, so I played my first match with this paddle and the second match with this paddle. I like this one a little better than this one, even though I feel both are pretty close in terms of like the power, the grittiness. This one might have a little bit more grittiness, but I felt the sweet spot was a little bigger in this. So I could generate power even from a little bit on the sides compared to this one. So I would prefer that one. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, cool. And Sam, what do you think?
Yeah, so opposite. I used that one the first one and then used this one the second match. Personally, I think I like that one just because it was a little more grittier. This one's just a little too smooth for me, so when I was going for my drives, I just hit them way out. But overall, they're pretty similar. And yeah, I mean, cheap option, and maybe would get it if you wanted to get an Alibaba paddle.
All right, cool. Thank you guys. So yeah, appreciate it. We had to leave shortly after playing, so I also clarified some of their comments off camera. Both Sam and Abi really enjoyed the Yiheng paddles, but can't main them as Sam and Abi both regularly play in tournaments that require USAP approved paddles. After the playtest, Abi switched back to his main paddle to prepare for some upcoming tournaments. In his first game back with his main paddle, he made this funny comment about how he now hates his main paddle after playing with the Yiheng paddles. So you actually like these? Okay. So overall, both players noticed similar attributes as I did. The one thing they didn't notice as much as me was the increased trampoline effect. But I think that was because they did not play with the paddles as many times as I did. I do think the effect is nuanced, but shows up more as you play with the paddles more. So here's the final takeaway. For the right player, the Yiheng 4 is indeed an upgrade. If you're a banger or play against bangers, the Yiheng 4 is the upgrade you want. The spin and flex make it much easier to generate pace and depth without overswinging. You'll definitely need the extra help with the trampoline effect, as you won't have tons of time to take a big swing. This is the camp Sam is in. If forgiveness and stability are more important, especially in the transition game, the Cassiopeia still shines, and you probably don't need to upgrade. This was Abi's choice of paddle. For myself, I slightly lean towards the upgraded core Yihun 4 simply because I loved how little work I had to do on some shots, but do really miss the control of the Cassiopeia in transition, so it's hard for me to definitively pick one. There is a nice third option if you can't decide either. If you want to keep the same core as the Cassiopeia, but just want the grit to be improved for spin, which was clearly noticed by all of us, Yihun also has that option. I will link it in the description as well. Both Yihun paddles cost a fraction of the big brand options, and all three of us agreed they easily rivaled the $200 plus paddles from the big brands in performance. Many of you have commented asking for more clone reviews. Unfortunately, I have pretty limited time to work on reviews, but do intend to make more in the future. Please do check out my new Substack for paddle reviews. Making video reviews takes much longer for me, so I'll be posting written reviews on Substack so I can get information out to you guys faster. Another limiting factor is that I'm only going to review seller branded or blank face paddles going forward. This is to ensure there is no confusion between the original paddle and the clone in terms of the appearance, and to respect the original paddle's design. However, I do think cloning performance is totally fair game. I mean, take a look at all these Reddit threads about how to customize the $100 Quanta to play like the $300 boomstick, or even the Selkirk era copying the construction of the 11624 Power Series. Let me know if there are any other paddles or sellers you'd like me to look into, and also let me know in the comments if you've tried other clones. That's it for today's review. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if the content was helpful to you.